If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor look too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life for broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at the beginning, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are done, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 40 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
happy. No more kissing ass, no more being an outcast. Oh, I don't care no more, I swear. Happy, I'll only do what aligns with me. I'm living my own dynasty. Oh, I don't care no more, I swear.
How do you write women so well?
I think of a man, and I take away reason and accountability.
What is so important about driving faster than anyone else?
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
If like I wasn't a feminist, I don't know what I would be, if that makes sense. Like I don't really have like that's just all I know, I guess. And I guess I haven't really educated
That actually
myself.
makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Feminism is basically the air that we breathe, and it's the water we swim in, whether people know it or not. It's ingratiated in society. So you may not have any other position other than that. So if you say, I really don't know anything besides feminism, I believe you.
Thank you.
It's the mainstream. Do you guys believe in the patriarchy?
But it's still a bad position. It's still like what you
fine.
just saying.
And what is that? So what is the patriarchy?
It's patriarchy's when like men rule, right? Mostly, right?
Men rule, women drool. Wait, what? Okay, that's
No, that was my fault.
Say it. Can you say the patriarchy is awesome?
it's not bad. It's not bad.
The patriarchy is awesome.
That one, that's for you, Grid One Motorsports.
Targets acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning, the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. It's only been a few hours since last night, but so much has happened, as always. I was going to go get some more coffee. I was just over on Rob Knorr's channel talking with him, and I didn't have time enough to go make another cappuccino. So we'll just deal with some gorilla mind and engage my inner gorilla, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Welcome back to the show. It's going to be great today. Let's see who's up in the chat today. Let's see what is popping off over here. We have Agrillapolis. Crap. Can't talk. Agrillapolis. We have Jay Eakin is in the house. Eakin, whatever. Super serious interviews. Anson Knowles in the house. He's super serious. Natalia's in the house. Good to see you as always. Buddha's in the house. Welcome back. Welcome back, my friend. And they have just had a great little conversation over there. That's awesome. Cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So, and Tyler ADE, Average Debate Enjoyer, is up in the house. He has a 1v1 on this and other topics tonight, talking about Trump's tactics and if it is a hostile takeover or warranted actions. We will be opening up the panel probably about the last hour and a half to an hour, something like that. Let me get through this monologue. Let me we got a lot of stuff to go over, and we're going to start out with look. Earlier this week, we had a pretty good dive into the political and social chaos that's been going around. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to try and unpack Trump's, some call it bold move to federalize and deploy National Guard troops to Democratic strongholds like Portland, Oregon, Chicago, and Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, I've talked about. We'll get back into it. And this is because of the escalating violence and political rhetoric against ICE doing their jobs, the protest in various cities and places. We've all seen the TikTok videos of women getting pepper sprayed and all of that. And the question that we have to ask ourselves is this a necessary restoration of federal authority or a dangerous erosion of states' rights? And we talked about that a little bit the other night on Prime Kai's. I started talking to Rob Noor about it. We didn't really get too deep into it. It was okay. I'm going to try and break down some of the legal battles, the different governors, what they're doing, and how they're kind of in the showdown mode here. We're going to talk about the broader implications, the wider net, if you will, the broader implications for our Federalist Republic. Remember that we are not a democracy. The United States of America is not a democracy. It is a federation of republics, right? Individual states, or a republic of states, however you want to say, the federation of states, federation, a republic of states, whatever. And so, and it's federalist, right? Like in theory, states' rights reign supreme, but we do have the overarching federal umbrella. It gets confusing sometimes, which is why there are issues like this. It's why there's a Supreme Court. That's why all of this stuff exists. We're going to get into that a little bit. I'm not going to dive too deep into that because it's not civics class. It's a daytime talk show. I'm going to do a pretty rapid fire, just touch base on, the government shutdown. It's just grinding along. It's just, nobody seems to want to end it. We're in day 7 or 8 of this shutdown. I have it in my notes somewhere. I don't remember. Comey's been indicted, right? And everybody thought that was a joke and he'd be out of jail already. That's not happening. He's still locked up, or not locked up. I guess he's still under charges, right? I shouldn't say locked up. My bad. And we'll talk about the global hotspots. We're going to talk about what's going on with some of the other countries out there. I'm not going to really get into all of this nonsense, but we do kind of have to. The civics class rules. Welcome, Auntie, however you say that. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. Civics class is fun, but this is a civics class. It's a talk show, so we're not going to get we'll get into it. We're not going to dive too deep. The blue cities, right, are just, they're just nuts, right? They're just nuts. So the government shutdown's now in week 2. I am having a great day. Thank you. I am actually really having a great day today. So we are in day 8. I just checked my notes. We have, the press says millions, I think thousands of federal workers are furloughed. Airports like Hollywood Burbank are seeing 2.5 or longer delays in flights because of air traffic controller shortages. Some seniors, and I think these are things that are reported with no basis, and the press just runs with it. But there's seniors are reporting losing access to their telehealth because there's nobody to work it or whatever. And then the most interesting part of all of it is there could be mass firings, which kind of warms the cockles of my heart, if I'm honest. I think the federal government is bloated. I think that we need to trim the fat. And if this is how it gets done, it's not my preferred method, but can we fault it? Do you want to fight against that? I don't. I don't think so. I don't think so. Natalia says she feels bad for those contract workers like janitors, cafeteria workers, et cetera, in federal buildings who are losing money every day and won't be compensated for it. I mean, they likely voted for the Democrats that are refusing to work even a little bit across the board. So I find it hard to feel sorry for anybody in this at all. I'm probably wrong for that, but it's what I'm going to stick to it. That's what I feel like. That's my feels. It's my feels, bro. All right. So, from my constitutional conservative worldview, right? The only ones to blame here are congressional Democrats who have blocked the border security funding. They have engineered to some degree this shutdown. They will not let go of the spending. They just will not let it go. And what the shutdown's really doing, if you understand it, if you're watching it, what the shutdown's actually doing, ladies and gentlemen, is it's exposing the bloated bureaucracy for what it is. It's really time for spending cuts. It's really time for layoffs, furloughs, all of that. We have to reform. We have to have debt ceiling reform. We have to say enough is enough. Absolutely have to. Yes, over 50,000 employees are at risk of losing their jobs permanently, regardless of outcome. You're right, Ghost. I kind of touched on that earlier, but yeah, absolutely. Regardless of the outcome, they may, there are going to be contractors out there that will not be able to recover from this. Vote Republican. Vote Republican. Wouldn't have happened because the Democrats stalled this, and they would not give up the spending. They would not come to the table. They would not negotiate even a little bit. Trump warned them what was going to happen. He told them they have plenty of time to make shit happen. They chose not to. So, you fuck around, you find out eventually. I'm just saying. That's what it is. All right. So, if just look, let me just be really blunt. If Washington can't pass a balanced budget with debt reform, with money set aside to pay down the national debt, if they can't do that, how can you trust them with your tax dollars? How can I, in good faith, fill out my IRS tax form and send it into the government when they will not do their fucking jobs? How can you, each one of you, not the Canadians, you guys, you're special, not the Australians, you guys have your own problems. How can any American feel good about paying their taxes in April? Because what's happening is that the government refuses. Understand, that's what we're really talking about here. Your government is refusing to take responsibility. They're refusing to do their damn job and come up with a balanced budget. How can you take that seriously? How can anyone in the United States of America that pays taxes think that this is okay? Correct. Ghost 1978. It was the big, beautiful bill that the Democrats said would take food and health insurance from kids. It didn't. None of that was true. It's just the way it is. Anson, you're a monarchist. Nobody takes you seriously. People must vote. It's the government you live in. If you want to be in a monarchy, I hear Monaco. Actually, I heard Monaco doesn't want you, but if you could somehow sneak in, maybe you'd be okay there. Yeah, because that's a monarchist. That's monarchy. I think it's the last monarchy, isn't it? Isn't Monaco the last principality monarchy? Somebody let me know on that. I think it is. All right. I've said enough about it. I look, just realistically, as an American, if you look at this critically, if you do this much critical thinking, you would not be okay sending these people your tax dollars. You wouldn't buy a used car from them, that's for fucking sure. Right? All right. Now let's talk about James Comey. James Comey, former FBI director, was arraigned on October the 8th on federal charges tied to a 2020 Senate testimony. Basically, if you're not really paid attention to it, he was part of this whole Russian hoax, right? And he went after Trump basically, I don't know how to put this. He went after Trump in the ultimate bad faith. He absolutely, I don't know if he lied, but he ignored evidence. He accepted evidence with little provenance, and he basically weaponized the FBI against Trump. He was part of that. He was warned when it happened that, hey, if you do this, consequences down the road. Again, he didn't listen, did his own thing. Things are going to happen. And, you know, Comey is innocent. That's nuts. You can't honestly say that in good faith. That's nuts. Comey's not innocent. The only thing Comey's innocent of being is he's innocent of being a federal employee because he never showed up for work. That's the only thing he's innocent of. He was employed by somebody else the whole time. He's already charged. He's been indicted. What are you talking about? He's very likely to get convicted. They don't indict, the federal government doesn't generally indict people unless they can, prove that shit or feel like they can. Yeah, he's already charged, bro. He's indicted. He's under indictment. It's rough. But yeah, he's just, Comey's a special guy. Well, he's already been charged. He's been indicted on charges. Now he may not get convicted. I mean, the courts are the courts. I mean, I'd never play that game. Yeah, Operation Arctic Frost. Are they even getting him for Operation Arctic Frost? I think they mentioned it a couple of times. I found the mentions of it. I didn't actually dig into it. He's got me off on this. He's got my brain pulled aside on the Comey thing. To me, Comey's like on a lock. Like there's just he acted in bad faith, and now he's going to find out. It leaks to someone who says Comey never leaked to him. It comes down to McCabe being a credible witness against Comey. It's a flop. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like they have to have more than that. Because it just doesn't pass the sniff test. Anyway, we'll talk about that. So let's talk a little bit about the immigration. Yeah, they are still investigating as well. They always will continue investigating right up until it goes to trial. I think it's probably going to be. It's probably going to be what they're doing right now. Yeah, there was a lot of wiretapping. What they're doing now is they've got the one indictment, so they're using that to get other search warrants and get and do more digging into the wiretapping, into the surveillance, into why Comey allowed things to happen under his watch. If he knew it happened, if he didn't know, so they're all. But this is one of those just knock it down processes, right? Right. Okay. So So there's a lot. Have we heard about this Laotian detainee? Right? Have you guys heard about this? And this guy was a what was it? He was detained during a routine ICE check or check-in amid mass deportation push. And a lot of people are claiming that it highlights the human cost of enforcement. And so, it looks like, just a random dude gets picked up. He was probably an actual refugee, but he hasn't, it's not. What happened there? There we go. Sorry. But I don't really know. I don't really know where we're at on this with all of the immigration stuff and the backlash is just it's really getting to the point where a lot of it seems really, that what the press is reporting, a lot of it seems just made up. It seems almost rhetorical in nature. Like like even the interviews seem really fake. I don't know. You guys tell me, give me your opinion. I want to know. One of the things that I kind of had for today, we'll maybe make this I don't know if there's enough here to make a topic for one of my Wednesday night shows, the panel shows, but is AI the future of online bullying? And we've talked about this before with like the deep fake, being able to put your face on or put somebody's face on someone that's, nude or whatever. But we can go even further with the AI and chat bots can actually facilitate harassment and amplify that harassment to different people. And so people in high, kids in high school, kids in college, kids, whatever, could be the newest format of cyberbullying, right? Or online bullying. Yeah, hang on. We're doing more Comey stuff. I followed the Crossfire Hurricane pretty closely. Comey undermined Lynch. Comey undermined Clinton. Comey exposed McCabe. I'd say Comey is the reason they got caught. Maybe. I don't know. I'll look into that a little deeper. I think really the problem is, I think the problem you're going to run into with Comey is Comey 100% endorsed all of the Russiagate stuff on its face he did not do his due diligence. He did not dig into any of it. Comey testified against Trump under oath that what he was saying was factual. And I think that's where this is going. I think that's where this is actually headed. I think all of the Crossfire Hurricane, I think all of the things that they're doing right now are just the threads they need to pull to get to the end result. I do believe Operation Arctic Frost is a problem. I do believe that all of the FBI behavior during Trump, during the election and Trump's first year in office is going to come under scrutiny because Comey was in charge, and people are going to want to know. Well, they're investigating what really happened. And they're and this is all just allowing them to dig deeper. It just is. And I think Comey is going to be a scapegoat. He's either going to be a scapegoat for and take the fall for other people, or he's the piece that they're missing to get bigger fish, which is what I actually think is happening. Since you forced my hand, I'll tell you, I think that's what's happening. I think that Comey is simply a cog to get to the next bigger wheel. What I think. Now you just distracted me. It's let's talk about this National Guard deployment, because that's really what we came here for. The other night on Prime Kai, I talked about this on. No, you're fine, Tyler. It's cool. It's cool. I just think Comey is going to he's either going to go down for this, or he's going to be the cog to get a bunch of other people, right? And the wiretaps on Trump, they're trying to put this together, and there's a couple of different angles. We'll talk about it when you come up. He did actually have a book come out after the trial, I believe. All right, so let's talk about this immigration stuff. So the other night I'm on Prime Kai. The topic was not supposed to be Trump related, but in true Prime Kai fashion, that's what it ended up being. It ended up just simply being, let's talk shit. That's what he did. All right, so let's. I'm a constitutional conservative. That means I look at almost all of the, almost all aspects of government from the balance of, does the Constitution say you can do it? Does it say you can't do it? Or is it just not in there? And so there's some interpretation. From a strict reading of the Constitution, a strict reading, right? Federal power narrowly construed, states are sovereign under the 10th Amendment. This is a razor thin line between executive prerogative and tyrannical overreach, right? It's a hair's breadth, right? Article 2 vests the president as commander-in-chief, but it only has enumerated powers, right? It has a list of things that he can and cannot do. Hopefully you guys understand that. I don't know. I have to do this. And hang on, I'm sorry. I have to think a second. So deploying the troops deploying troops domestically risk posse comitatus violations unless it's justified by rebellion or invasion, and that's 10 USC. I don't remember the exact section. Anyway, Trump's reliance on Title 10 federalization bypasses governors, echoing Eisenhower's 1957 Chevy Little Rock intervention, but it inverts it, right? In Little Rock, federal troops enforced civil rights against a defiant state. The state said, we're going to do this. Federal government said, no, you're not going to do it, right? In this case, they're shielding ICE amid protest that labels Trump's, they're sheltering ICE against what Trump is labeling as anarchy. So, let's talk about some pros and cons here, right? Dems lose the immigration argument on both sides. If they want states' rights, then they have to keep the immigrants contained within their states. They don't get to allow them into certain states. Yeah, sure. If this becomes a state legislation issue, the only logical outcome will be closed state borders. Let's see if they want to go that route. I don't disagree with that. I just think it's very hard to do that. I think that constitutionally, states can't actually close off their borders. But we're gonna dig into all of this. All right, so the pros from my worldview, right? Constitutional conservative worldview. The rule of law is imperative. I've said this multiple times. Rule of law is the imperative. protests that target federal facilities, that's ICE buildings, that's museums, that's any federal building or facility. It doesn't have to be a building. It could be a federal power station, right? Whatever. Impede the execution of the law. So therefore, you're violating the rule of law imperative. And this is part of the Insurrection Act of 1807. It goes all the way back to 1807 to the Insurrection Act. Now, if the local lead, pardon me, I'm sorry, I'm burping a little bit. If the local leaders, Democrat or Republican, won't act, like, for example, in Portland, Portland PD, for example, reports sedate crowds of 30 or less than 30, yet the feds and TikTok and everywhere else show violence, that the federal officers are literally having things thrown at them. They're having people be violent towards them. And these crowds are not sedate. They're not mostly peaceful. They are, in fact, angry. They're angry mobs. So then federal intervention to restore order does not require martial law at that point. Constitutionally speaking, that's how that works. Now, you can argue a couple of different points, but you're going to lose on this point because that's what's happening, and that's the rule of law. Okay, and literally, whoop, I just keep hitting my mic. I apologize. Literally, we have a couple of hundred years of this. 1807, guys. 1807. Right? So, conservative leaders can be said to really value the federal supremacy in core duties like immigration enforcement because it does cross state lines. It is the federal government's job to secure the border. So it's really, and there is an enforcement arm of the federal government specifically to deal with this. And so from a conservative point of view, I don't need 4 agencies trying to do the same job when we already have an agency that's supposed to be doing it. So the next point, again, from my constitutional conservative worldview, you don't have to agree with me. You can have your own worldview, but I'm just going to tell you right now that it doesn't matter because I'm operating from a constitutional conservative worldview, and this is where the law is, and you can't twist. I mean, it just can't be twisted. The next one is the precedent for security. Okay. Now, post 9/11, guard deployments, such as 2005 and Katrina, show the flexibility of the precedent for security. Trump's training grounds when he made that joke to the military brass, it underscores the deterrence against urban decay and reinforces this idea of a precedent for security, right? You guys, hopefully you can understand that. Hopefully that I'm articulating this well enough. You know, that's the way it is. So, and the last thing really is a simple accountability check, okay? Bipartisan ex-governors, including Republican, back blocks, but if the courts affirm it, it reins in the executive excess, right? So even if people say, well, Trump's going too far, well, that's why we have these courts. That's why it goes to the Supreme Court. That's the checks and balances part of our system, right? It's just the way it is. Now, there are some warnings, right? Correct. Angel Berber is correct. Governor Wallace forced the National Guard to be deployed twice against the governor of the state in 1963. He defied federal law and enforcement. Trump absolutely has precedent. He absolutely can do this. He absolutely should be doing this. And to claim otherwise is to be ignorant of precedent and legal precedent and historical precedent in these matters. And just basically, you're boiling it down to my feelings, okay? Or the Democrats are. My feelings, bro. My feelings. State's law when they want it, federal law when they don't. That's what's up. All right, so now there are some cons here, right? Governors command the state guards, okay? That's Title 32. If you're not familiar with that, federalizing without consent, for example, overriding Newsom and Kotek, whatever the fuck his name is, kind of tugs at that 10th Amendment sovereignty, state sovereignty, right? And it could be viewed as turning states into vassals. Critics like to call it invasion. All right. And that's an echo of the Civil War that many people feel like we cannot afford. Now, again, I think that the people who are going around saying this are wrong. I think that we have tons of precedents here. I think that Trump is not violating anything, and moreover, I don't think his motivation is to do so. So, and I mean, there's a couple more, right? Like, there's a lot of people claiming this is a slippery slope to authoritarianism. I don't believe that it is. The quote unquote no rebellion is a threshold that a lot of people claim have not been met. Right. Or that no rebellion threshold has been met. My bad. A lot of people say Portland is not burning, right? A lot of people say this is all just people peacefully protesting and it's no big deal and don't worry about it, basically. Just, it's cool. Don't worry about it. Invoking the Insurrection Act, which Trump has kind of floated around as something he may do, could greenlight things like tanks in disobedient cities, and it could be seen as gutting republicanism for Caesarism, and which I disagree with. I don't believe that. I don't agree with it, but it is something that is out there. That is something, that's some rhetoric that's going around. We need to pay attention to that. Right? So I do think that we're at a point where it doesn't really matter what Trump does. It's going to be seen as negative, and you're going to have these Democrats just say, fuck that, we don't want to do it, or he's wrong, or he's a fascist, or whatever. That's a problem. And then the last thing I think that we really have to be careful of, and I think that it's worth mentioning, is we don't want to politicize the military in this country. Targeting blue cities like Portland and Chicago and Memphis, it does give that whiff of election year theater, right? Like, we're just using the military in a way it's really not meant to be. I disagree, but people think that, and that it could erode the troop morale and obviously public trust. So, to truly be conservative in this situation, we need to demand de-escalation of this violence, of this rhetoric in we need to call for that de-escalation locally, with the governor, with the local police, maybe send in marshals, something like that. The problem is at this point, certain states have shown that they are unwilling to do that. And it's so at that point, I think we get back to, I keep asking the question, when these governors are disobeying requests from the president, but then they also go out and they speak in a specific way about the actions of the president and what the president is trying to do. How close to sedition is it? How close are we getting to having to start having to start really considering that some of our politicians are actively working against American ideals? So, yeah, it's interesting, right? So I guess my bottom line is that we need to defend the law, but we can't do it at the expense of liberty, right? This is liberty for all. But we have to defend the law. We have to enforce the law. I think, Trump's been proven right. The courts continue to affirm that he's right. It is simple rhetoric that keeps the idea that he's wrong alive. And again, I really believe that this is as simple as it doesn't matter what he says. He could literally say, I'm going to pull all of the national. As a matter of fact, I wish that he would. I wish fervently that Trump would just say, you know what? I'm pulling everybody out of Portland. But Oregon, you don't get any more federal money. You don't, we're going to shut down any federal operations in the state. And you're on your own. You're not getting any aid. You're not getting any road funding. You're not getting any Department of Education grants. You're not nothing. You're on your own, pal. Same with California. We're cutting you off. Okay. I really wish you would, because they want that funding. They want all of the perks that go along with being part of the United States, but they don't want to follow the laws of the United States. So, I'm just saying, guys. All right. So let's talk about some of the nuances of this, because that's kind of an overview. It was wrong when the feds used the Guard to attack freedom of association in the 60s, and it was wrong now. You're talking about desegregation. I agree. I to some degree do agree that the feds should not have gotten involved with desegregation. But, is what it is. But once the states decided on desegregation, and needed the help, the feds, once the desegregation went through federally and the states didn't want to fall in line, the feds, I believe they were justified in doing it. I think they were wrong in doing it. That's just my point of view. All right, so let's look at Portland first, right? Because they seem to be the biggest issue. It is. Can we all agree? First of all, can we all agree that Portland is a blue haven? That They don't like Trump there. They're not going to listen to him. It doesn't matter. If he said, I'm pulling out today, they would call him a quitter and say that he's abandoning Portland to burn, right? He can't win there, so he just needs to do what's right and not really give a shit. And for context, right now, there are ongoing small protests, under 30, 40 people at ICE facilities. There have been since July. We are now in October. Trump calls it a war zone. Now, he says that even though in theory, or at least reportedly, there's been, the violence has been waning, right? Like there's been less and less violence. We don't know that for sure. Initially, 200 Oregon National Guard were federalized October 1. 100 plus California Guardsmen arrived on October 5. It was blocked by Judge Immergut. It's actually Immergut. I just call him Immergut, who is a Trump appointee for sure. As no rebellion, a Ninth Circuit Court stay allows the federalization, but bars the Portland deployment on October 8th. So then Kotek sues with the Portland mayor, who's also a Democrat, calls it occupation to incite blue areas, a military occupation, not rioter occupation. The Oregon Military Department preps troops, but resists sending them in. The local PD was, in theory, capable, per their chief, and they had claimed that escalation using national troops risk more clashes and more tear gas and more everything. Obviously, that's true. Anytime you put more cops on the street, you have more interaction with citizens and more incidents. That's just the way it works. My take on this is really simple. Sanctuary police invited the feds. Literally, initially, the police in Portland said, we need help. The court are the courts are calling it overreach. I don't think it is. We'll see. Now in Chicago, right? So Portland's a fucking mess. Chicago, So once again, you had protest at the ICE Center in Chicago. I'm not really sure what they call it. It has a specific name though. Those protests turned violent. We saw that on TV or YouTube or wherever you saw it. But I think most everyone by now has seen the violence in Chicago when the against ICE when they had this protest or protests. So 300 Illinois guardsmen plus 200 Texas guardsmen were inbound October 6th through the 8th for federal protection. There was a hearing on October 9th with no immediate block. Okay. Nothing happened immediately. Trump has demanded that, I hope I would say this right, Pritzker, whatever, and Lightfoot, not from the band, but Lightfoot, to be jailed. Trump wants those two guys in jail or jailed for non-cooperation. I think that's just rhetoric. I don't think he really wants them in jail, but certainly he's sick of the governor's shit. So the governor has actually the governor of Chicago, Pritzker, thank you, labels the National Guardsmen as an unconstitutional invasion and manufactured crisis. We've all seen that in the news, and files an NGA exit over a partisan rift, right? Like it was not clean. The ex-governors in Texas, bipartisan supposedly, file a brief against Governor Abbott down in Texas. Or pardon me, just they filed a brief against Texas, not Governor Abbott specifically. Governor Abbott campaigns on stepping in for Trump. That's what he's campaigning on right now. I think that's interesting. Again, so my take on Chicago, guys, is that Chicago crime stats simply atrocious. Like there's like 50 shootings a week there. There are places the police just will not go. They need the help. Literally, everything about Chicago justifies justifies all the aid we can give them, all the National Guard that needs to be sent, and the inflation or invasion narrative just needs to go the fuck away. It's not an invasion. Just get over it. However, since we're Federalist, in theory, we need the consent of the governor. However, invoking the Insurrection Act pretty much does away with that. Now, Memphis is a special case, and I saved it for last because, as you guys may know, I've said this multiple times. Our governor talked to our state attorney. Our state attorney's office initially came back with that they did not think that the governor could send National Guard troops into Memphis under Tennessee's state constitution. One of the things that Chicago and Portland both ignore are their state constitutions. They do not address those at all. In Tennessee, we did. Pardon me. Excuse me, guys. I apologize. I'm not really sure what the Oregon and Illinois state constitutions say about deploying the National Guard. But in Tennessee, there's a very short list of reasons our governor can deploy our National Guard. Initially, our state attorney said, no, can't do it, but we'll look into it. They looked into it. They found precedent. They looked into the cases of where it's been used and why it's been used. And they came back with, absolutely, it can be done. So the mayor of Memphis, who's a Democrat, is reluctantly coordinating with the governor's office. Shelby County, which is Memphis, is mixed. I don't know that they really. I don't know that they're supporting or opposing it exactly. But currently, we have a federal task force with 219 deputized officers, plus up to maybe more, 150 unarmed Tennessee Guard backing the police. I don't know why they're unarmed, but they are. Or at least it's claimed that they are unarmed. I think that's because Memphis had some problem with it, but whatever. Now, I say all of this because there's nuance to the governor doing this. Governor Lee has basically come out and said that he backs a limited non-arrest role for our National Guard, right? I'm not really sure what that looks like yet in Memphis, but we'll find out in the next week or so. Obviously, we're a red state. We had a smooth rollout, very little pushback, no lawsuits, and we're focused on public safety, as we should be. And so Tennessee, I think, is honestly should be the poster child of how this should be handled. Our governor did not just say, no, you can't do it just because I don't feel like doing it and all of this bullshit. They looked into it. They looked into the legal precedent. When the precedent came back, yeah, absolutely, you can do it. Then it was done. End of story. Had it come back when it was in question, we did not send the troops in. So, and that's this is from my constitutional conservative worldview. This is the model for cooperation. It proves that the National Guard works when they are aligned with local law enforcement, and everyone works more or less together. It's proof that it'll work. It defeats the arguments of the leftist governors, and we realistically cannot overstate that. It just is. In the broader trend, looking at all of this together, LA has seen 4,700 National Guard or Marines back in June, overriding Newsom, which is under appeal right now, during the riots. DC went under direct federal control. Red states like Louisiana have requested 1,000 troops voluntarily. Dem governors, again, Newsom and Pritzker, threatened an NGA walkout. I don't know that they'll do it, but maybe. And there's a lot of people out there who say that this is a constitutional crisis. I don't see it as a constitutional crisis. I think if you are a constitutionalist, this is as clear as it gets. It's just clear as it gets. All right, so I think I've covered a lot. I think I covered most of my prep for today. Let me stand by. Let me look through my notes. Nope, I got it. So man, that was like perfect hour. Right. So Ghost 1978, I get that. You don't like the no arrest part. However, I actually agree with this. The military is not law enforcement officers. They don't have the necessary experience or training to arrest people. That's what the police are for. This should be concurrent and working together, not these guys are over here doing this and these guys are over here doing that. These guys should be stuck together like glue. The National Guard should be deployed to protect facilities. They should be sent along with ICE when they go to do their raids and to do other things to provide a show of force and backup. And that's it. And they should not be arresting people. The military that's not their job. Even if we allowed that the military police do, military police have a very different job than everyday normal police. And so again, I disagree with you on that. I understand where you're coming from. That's where it is. So there you go. Anson's out there trolling, talking about the Constitution is an irrelevant piece of paper. Yep. Sorry, pal. It's not. Yeah. Louisiana. Yep. I talked about that. Mikey Balls, good to see you. Good to see you out there, sir. Welcome into the show. So the other night on Prime, we never got into any of the things I just stated, which are all factual, which are all worldview driven, and which are which are all like rational, right? Like this is and real, right? I'll even take the lumps and say that I would almost at this point I'd say if the governors of Oregon and California really don't want the National Guard on the street helping their police, fine, pull them out, but don't let them leave the state. Right? Like literally put up checkpoints. Put up checkpoints out there. $4.99 from Mike Ball. Support the channel. Yes, thank you so very much. I really do appreciate that. $4.99 from Mikey Balls. All right, cool, man. So it's yeah, that's been it. We talked about Comey. We talked about a lot of stuff. But again, this all, it's not that I was going to avoid talking about this or anything like that. The truth is that I was all set to make to make a nice set of arguments over on. I was all set to make really good arguments over on the Prime Kais the other night for kids not jumping on trains, and we never got there. So I wanted to kind of, and I hadn't really said anything about the National Guard other than the Memphis stuff. So I do believe that 100%. I do believe that 100% the government should be doing what it's doing. I think they're right. I think that they're. I don't see any problem with what they're doing. Just don't. All right. What's up, Joe Cool? Good to see you in the house. A lot of people out there right now. It's kind of an all-timer tonight. Last night's show, by the way, guys, if you didn't catch it, it was awesome. I want to add something to last night's discussion. For those of you who were here, I made a very specific statement about how people change and people can change, and when they change, we need to recognize that change, and we need to allow them to put their past behind them. The part that I left out that I really should have gone in hard on is that I can't tell if someone changed. So to have a little bit of doubt is fine. To say, I'm willing to grant that they've changed until they prove they haven't, that's fine. What my true point was that there is a growing number of people in this country that think that, and this is, and I'm going to use this because this will be the most I think this is the most controversial thing I can not, maybe not the most. It's a really good controversial thing for me to say, is the idea that once a cheater, always a cheater, or once an abuser, always an abuser. And I really dislike that. I really dislike it. And that's and mostly that's because I think that people go through different periods of time in their life and they become different people, and sometimes they become better people and sometimes they become worse people, right? But you don't know. And so I believe in giving the people the benefit of the doubt until they show me differently. But giving someone the benefit of the doubt doesn't necessarily mean that I'm taking everything they say as the straight up truth either. And I find it really interesting. I find the more in modernity, this idea that people cannot be more, that they can't turn over a new leaf, that they can't change. I find that flies basically in the face of everything people in modernity talk about 24/7. Yeah, that's what it is. Ghost 1978 says maybe National Guard do that at least detain them so police can arrest them officially? What's their options if they're attacked? If they're look, so I don't know if you saw this Ghost 1978, but there was an episode where there was a crowd and there was this guy screaming at this National Guard guy, and he ends up spitting in the guard's face. The second that dude spit at that guard, they took his ass down. They took his ass down. I mean, literally, they slammed that dude on the ground. I don't know if they had handcuffs. I think maybe they handcuffed him. I don't know if I think maybe they did. I don't know, but it was brutal to watch. So that's, I think, what's happening. Right. Right. Yeah. The law has to be enforced here through federalization, maintain a bar. Compromise over this doesn't work, as each side can break the law and take every inch ceded to its furthest conclusion. Absolutely. That's true. And that's why we have to do what we're doing and the way we're doing it. Joe Cool, I'm glad you're doing really well, man. Skyana over on Twitch, welcome to the show. I don't know what happened last night. For some reason, Twitch geeked out on me and did not go active. It should have, but it just didn't. So you missed a great show last night, Skyana. But I'm glad you're over there today. It's been a good show so far. I'm about to open up my panel. If you want to jump on, all you have to do is just ask. I'll send you the link, and it'll be cool. So you popped into the YouTube stream. Awesome. Yeah, it was a great show last night. Really was. Pedo should be trusted. Yeah, I mean that's like a mental illness though, right? Like that's like, I know that, look, I understand how they're trying to frame this with a map, minor attracted person and all that shit. I get it. It's gross. I don't like it. I disagree with it. And I do think that, I don't know. I'm not willing to make that risk. You know what I'm saying? But certainly other things, I think people can. I think for most things, people can change. Some things people can't change. I don't think that you can, like, the scorpion and the frog. Some people, it's just in their nature. It's just who they are. But for most things, I don't think people are that thing for the most part. Sometimes maybe. I don't know. All right, Tyler. I'm going to open the panel up. You can come up here and argue with me about Comey. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm barely following Comey, and a lot of I don't remember a lot of it because I haven't paid attention to Comey for a long time. I'm certainly willing to listen to your point of view on it. I just want to be very clear that I am not. I'm not ready to really not going to be able to go deep down rabbit holes on it. For anyone that wants to be on the show, I just now hit enter. It's over if you want to be on the show, if you want to come up, chat for a few minutes, you don't have to agree with me. You can certainly disagree with me. What you need to do is you need to go over to the you have to go over to the Discord. You have to go to the waiting room and you have to ask for the link. And the moderators may ask you to cam up. They may ask you to prove who you are, that you're not going to do some weird shit on camera, like, flop your penis out or anything like that. We don't want to see penis today. Nobody does. And so just, but yeah, just go ahead. You're used to taking W's on my stream. Have you ever actually taken a W here?
I've won the fucking debate thing twice and gotten second place once.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, what's good?
Go, Tyler. I didn't realize that you did that. Sorry, man. Sorry. I'll pay more attention from here on out. I am so sorry. How are you today, Tyler? How are you?
Doing well. Just preparing for that panel. I think you're my judge tonight.
I am a judge tonight, yeah.
So good to see that you agree with me on a lot of this stuff with the troops going out. There's actually the case when they sent troops into California. Gavin Newsom filed with a local district judge. They did a nationwide injunction, and then that went up to the Ninth Circuit Court. Then it went back to the courts, and they did a bunch of shit and sided with Gavin Newsom, and that went to the Ninth Circuit again for the second time, where they said Trump did not violate posse comitatus and gave some other legal precedent. I'm saving it for tonight. I got it all in my notes. So
yeah.
But for Comey, I want to come out here and defend Comey. So first and foremost, there was the alphabet.
Well, hold on. I want to get this straight. You are defending Comey, who authorized all the illegal wiretaps, who literally wrote a treatise on the on Russiagate that has since proven to be mostly fictitious. You're supporting that guy?
Yes. So I think Comey had some bad.
Bring it to me, bud. Bring it home.
There's some bad actors that were underneath James Comey, especially Andy McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, and several others. They were feeding him some bad information. When Comey caught wind,
we both agree that he did. He did. I don't know if they fed it to him or if he asked for it, but certainly they provided him with bad information.
So there was Alpha Bank scandal. Alpha Bank was, for anyone that doesn't know or needs a reminder, Alpha Bank was completely made up by a guy named Michael Sussman at the DNC. They were giving a programmer at the DNC, they were going to give him a really nice job inside the Clinton administration when they won if he did this for them. And they made it look like there were some connections between a bank that Trump used and a bank in Russia called Alpha Bank when there was actually nothing there. When the FBI investigated this, the day after they came out with it was the same day Slate dropped a big article about Alpha Bank right before the 2016 election to hurt Trump. Comey came out to the Times. One of his leaks was to leak that story against Trump in Slate was incorrect, and they had investigated Alpha Bank and found nothing there. So one of Comey's leaks was to give Trump a leg up against Russia disinformation from the Democrats. Another instance of Comey was after he discovered Loretta Lynch on the tarmac meeting Bill Clinton. He went out and told the public about it, which he undermined her by saying that. And then another instance of Comey was when he reopened the investigation into Hillary Clinton. He did so violating both FBI protocol and what the Democrats wanted him to do by reopening that to give the FBI a clear image. And then the reopening happened because a guy named Andy McCabe found the Wiener laptop and hid it from investigators for 4 to 6 weeks. As soon as Comey found out about that, he took the laptop, said, "This is fucked up, this is bad," and reopened the investigation.
Hold on. Comey didn't find the laptop. It was found by other people, and they reported it to him. And he had to say, it wasn't like it was the goodness of his heart. He was put in a situation where he then had to acknowledge that, oh shit, this exists. I think I don't want to debate with you because, I don't want to give you any, I don't want to get involved because I know you're debating on it tonight. If I were on the other side of this debate, I would push back pretty hard on that Comey was at. So what you're really describing is that Comey is a useful idiot and was used by other people.
I think he was trying as hard as he could to keep the reputation of the FBI. That was his number one priority. And when he thought that there was some merit to the Russia stuff, he went along with it. As soon as he realized there was foul play, he refused to do certain things.
He sat in court for 2 weeks giving testimony that Trump committed Russian collusion when that was entirely false.
When he was in front of the House, you're talking about?
I think it was the House, I think.
Yeah, well, he said there was no proof of it, and he also that was when he was the only reason we know McCabe hid that laptop. I don't think there's been any other reporting besides his testimony where he said McCabe got hold of that laptop and hid it from him, and as soon as it was brought to his attention, he immediately went public with it because it would look awful that the FBI was actively suppressing information from the investigators.
Yeah, so I'm not familiar enough with the timeline. I hope whoever is debating you isn't.
No, we're not debating this. This is me just coming down here and saying,
I mean, right.
Comey might have done some bad things to both sides, but I'd say he's the only reason Trump won, and he's the only reason that we know about a lot of this shit now is because Comey allowed that to happen.
Sure. I mean, I don't disagree with you at all. I think that that's an interesting take on it. I just don't. I think you're really giving a bunch of I will agree with you, or I can agree with you that I think Comey was at that point trying to keep the FBI looking as clean as it could, because at that point, if my memory is working properly, Trump was basically calling for not the shuttering of the FBI, but certainly a massive reduction of the FBI and his budget and everything. So I think that that the fact that Trump was going after them in that way, and at that point, I believe Bill Barr was also going after the FBI, was he not?
This would have been all this took place before Trump was elected the first time. All this would have been taking place in 2015, late 2015, early 2016.
Okay. Yeah. That's all right. That's why I'm kind of out to lunch on it, because I'm looking at the hearings that I'm looking at the hearing, or I'm more concerned with the hearings that Comey had with Russiagate about Trump while Trump was in office, and he testified that multiple times that Trump committed Russian collusion as far as they could tell. It wasn't until the Steele dossier was proven to be fake, which wasn't done by the FBI, if I recall. I believe the CIA is the one that said, hey, or maybe the NSA or the DIA or one of the three-letter agencies came out and said, yeah, the FBI is out to lunch on this. This whole thing's made up. We've known about this guy Steele forever. He just, he's a degenerate seller of secrets, and he'll just say whatever you pay him to say. And
they did half-assed investigations on it. So there was an instance where the P tape in Russia, there were two people that went to Russia. One of them was a DNC, paid DNC Democrat strategist to go investigate this. That person was never at once. This is in the Durham report. That person was never brought in by the FBI or even asked about the investigation or anything. They never even said, "Hey, you looked into this stuff, this Opera research that you handed us. What did you find?" So yeah, there was definitely a lot of. And then they turned around and used that Steele dossier at the FISA courts, and Comey was actually the one to slip that dossier into the presidential briefing that allowed the news to turn around and report on it as well. So I won't say Comey's innocent. It looks like he was just kind of keeping both sides happy while also trying to make the FBI look good.
I think his only concern was keeping his job and making the FBI look good. And I think that he saw Trump as a threat to the FBI's existence. And I think that that he very well could go to jail because of it.
I think Brennan, I don't know what the laws are, but I think what Brennan did, there was an intelligence report that came out in 2016. We know this because the guy that wrote it is the whistleblower for the 2017 report. Obama ordered them to go and do another report and give them information more toward what he wanted, because there was no proof Russia was actually helping the Trump organization. So the whistleblower comes out and says, they pressured me, they lied to me about the intelligence inside the report in order to get me to sign off on it, and then they suppressed my whistleblowing, so I never got to speak to Durham. I never got my story out there. They suppressed the entire thing, and now I'm blowing the whistle again on the entire and Tulsi Gabbard's leaks are what gave us all this information. And it just shows that they manipulated what the intelligence briefing reports were saying in order to fit their made-up political narrative. And it's just fucking crazy that this isn't the biggest scandal we've ever seen.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's selective, right? It just is. It's just selective stuff. So, well, I think that's interesting. So what is I don't want to know your debate strategy. I can't know your debate strategy, man, because I got to judge you tonight. I got to be judgy.
You're gonna like it.
So, but it is interesting to me because I mean, to me, Comey is. Look, I'm not going to say Comey's crooked, right? But I just keep coming back to the best light that I can put Comey into is that he just wanted he feared that Donald Trump was going to end the FBI as he knows it, right? And Trump did say, I believe out loud, that he felt like the FBI shouldn't exist anymore. I think he said that. I have to fact check myself, but I think he actually said that he didn't think the FBI should exist. Or was a horrible agency or something like. I forget what it was. I'll have to look it up. But.
It was in the second term, though. It didn't start. His ire toward the FBI didn't start until around when he fired Comey, and that's when we saw term one calls that Trump is a dictator and he's taking over the government. And tonight, the debate is going to be: are Trump's actions to access more powers of the government essentially him being a dictator? And I'm going to argue, no, they're not only good, but it's what Democrats have been doing against Republicans for decades. And the reasons why they call them rhinos is because the Republicans haven't been using those same mechanisms of power back. And now that Trump is, a lot of people are really happy to see that. So, yeah.
Well, look, yeah, man, I don't want to because you're going to debate this tonight. I'm not here to give you practice. I just when we look at the relationship between Bill Barr and Comey and the way Barr handled the investigation into Russian collusion and all of that, and the way that eventually Barr proved out that he was just as big a swamp creature as Comey was. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's a tough argument for me that Comey shouldn't be. I will go back to what I said earlier. Either Comey's going to basically take one for the team and go to jail, or he's going to the pressure is going to get so high that he's going to start naming names. He's going to come up with files that he's got some USB drive somewhere or a 2 terabyte hard drive hidden in his car or some shit, and it's gonna come out with that Barr did this or whatever.
They have to have more information in order for me to be convinced. And I'm not saying they don't. When all this AutoPen stuff started, I told Gibbs this is a nothing burger. They're not going to be able to do anything about it. It's going to go nowhere. And I was completely fucking wrong about that. He's still fucking razzing.
Well, I mean, look at how they're. I'm just going to say, look at how they're going after Comey. They're not going after Comey and just with just a single or 2 or 3 charges, and he's and obviously he's been indicted, so he is charged on at least one thing, but it's open-ended right now. There's no court date set. They're still as far as I know, I can't find anything that doesn't say they're still investigating.
There's 3 charges that went through the grand jury. 2 of them were wrongful information. One of them was a perjury charge. The perjury charge is the one that didn't catch. They passed the other 2 through. But again, what this information essentially boils down to is the reporter or the person that Comey brought into the FBI to share classified information with and basically uses his advisor. That person was leaking on behalf of Comey. But the leaks were never from Comey. They were always from a third party, that person being Andy McCabe.
I don't think so. Well, look, Comey was director of the FBI. You're not going to tie him. You're not going to easily tie him directly to a leak, right? That's why he has people working for him. That's why he has it's going to be hard. I just think that the way that if we look at the way they're going after Comey, it to me seems like they know he knows something on Barr, or he'll know somebody on I forget what Clinton's chief of staff during the campaign. I forget that person's name, but he's going to know something, and they're going to get the bigger people, right?
It was John Podesta.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't remember Podesta, because he was a major player, but I just think that's where they're. I think that's where they're going, man.
You might be right, and again, I can see it because really, at the end of the day, the only thing they can get Comey with is they have to prove Andy McCabe is a credible witness, and not only has Andy McCabe been shown to lie under oath and do all sorts of other shady things like withhold evidence to an investigation from the investigators, but Comey has an axe to grind with McCabe McCabe has an axe to grind with Comey because Comey was the one that exposed him for withholding that laptop. So just proving he's a credible witness after his long history is going to be rough. The reporter never got a direct order from Comey. McCabe has the exact same power to allow certain information to be declassified for certain reasons and whatnot. So he could have done it as well. I think at the best, Comey might get a slap on the wrist here, and that's it. Look at what they did to what's his fuck. The general that was showing his mistress, what the fuck was it, Petraeus? Was showing his mistress all this classified shit. They hit him with a misdemeanor and then demoted him, and Comey's already gone. So I just don't see that much coming out of it. But yeah, he might flip. He might flip and give him lynch, and that. I think
it's just pressure. I think it's pressure on Comey to. I mean, I think what the Trump administration wants is they want a direct line. As direct a line as they can get from the FBI to Hillary Clinton during the first election, and then to Biden's campaign during the second election, and they want they want to tear this down to the point where they can prove the voter fraud, they can prove all of these things that they've said all along, and I think they see Comey as the way forward. Let me I got to mute down for a second.
Can you guys hear me still? I'm going to tell you guys about John Podesta. In John Podesta's leaked emails, he had emails from a woman named Marina Abramovic, who wrote a book about spirit cooking. It's a cookbook that uses certain kind of bodily fluids and animal blood and whatnot for spiritual ritualistic cooking, Satanist cooking. They've had her over to her house. Now, there's beliefs that Hillary Clinton was also at these parties as well. But in the Podesta emails, it is confirmed that he was booking parties with this woman. So, think what you will, but at one point, Hillary Clinton may have been at a party where they used human blood or animal blood for ritualistic cooking and occult purposes. You can still find her. Apparently, John Podesta did not attend her 2013 Kickstarter, but Tony Podesta forwarded it to him because he attended, which is his brother. Yeah, Tony was the one who was doing the spirit cooking, it looks like, and John Podesta was at the parties, but not at the actual public display. So I'm pretty sure at some point Kamala Harris was tied to this as well, but I don't know exactly. But yeah, if you believe in conspiracy theories, this one's a fun one because I actually have a couple of emails.
Sorry about that. My wife called for a. She wanted me to. She was like, "Are you in town on the 18th?" And I'm like, "No, I'm in San Diego." She said, "Oh yeah, that's right." And then she started talking about, "Oh, I wanted." It was just. I'm like, I'm in the middle of my show. Can I call you back in an hour when I'm done? And it was funny. That's what women do for you. We have ripping and tearing over in Twitch says, "Tell Tyler he needs a black barber to clean up that jawline." Wow.
No, I'm going in a couple of days. We're waiting. I want to do it like a week or two before DebateCon, so I'm still looking fresh for that.
Fresh.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, the whole like ritualistic killery stuff is like, I don't know where that I don't know where that goes, but I think they're really looking for a lot of. I don't know. I feel like that these special investigators have something and they're looking for it. Because, to be honest with you, there's no reason to go after Comey otherwise. Right? It's all low rent. Oh, Tyler froze. Oh no, he was just being really still.
I was reading. I'm looking for, when you were gone, I was telling your audience about the spirit cooking and the
saw that. Yeah, spirit cooking. I heard about that.
I'm pretty sure I heard somewhere Kamala Harris was like linked in one of these emails or something, but I'm not finding it anywhere.
Yeah. Well, it's anyway. So it'll be a good debate tonight. I think. Who are you debating?
Cassell. He comes on here.
Oh yeah. I like Cassell. Yeah, Cassell. Yeah, I like that guy. He's pretty cool.
Well, if Matt Castle's his cousin, then it's Castle. So.
Yeah. Well, all right. So where are you at on the riots?
Which ones? The ones going on against ICE?
Yeah. All of the stuff going on with the mostly peaceful, sedate. The word that has been released by the Portland police chief is they are sedate protests. Where are you at on that? What's your thoughts?
All right, let me scroll to my part here. So we talked about the posse comitatus thing and how that.
Yeah, I did.
Yep, the Ninth Circuit Court ruled that that's not actually happening. The reason why Trump's bringing these people in is to protect federal law enforcement and federal buildings. Even in D.C., there's like talk about people standing around, groups of fucking soldiers standing around just chatting, but that's because like their presence is enough. Police presence has always been enough. That's how broken windows theory works. That's how just generally law enforcement has always worked. If you have more police in the street, you have less visible crime. It is what it is. So as long as he's got the authority, which it looks like right now in the courts, he has the authority to send them in, then by all means, going after Antifa, going after illegal immigrants, and protecting the police doing both of those seem like valid ways to get into a city, even if the governor doesn't like it.
Where are you at on Antifa? Do you believe that they are a terrorist organization? Do you believe that they are just a people that share similar beliefs and they're disorganized and they're just kids, really? They're just kids.
Yes to both. I think.
All right, they can both. All right, it's not mutually exclusive. All right. Yeah. I like it.
But like white supremacists, if you meet some edgy kids in their basement that hold white supremacist views and they're completely unlinked to like the prison gangs that make biker meth and do all the, all the things that show up in hate crime statistics and the political terrorism statistics from that study everyone's been sharing for the last few weeks, a lot of those, like, if you go through them case by case, there's like one white supremacist shooting another person over a drug deal was listed as a political terrorism because of the group he was in, even though it had nothing to do with political terrorism. So if we're going to label that idea as political terrorism, no matter how tangential the individual, like Dylan Roof wasn't part of some greater group. He just had beliefs he found on the internet. So if he's going to be labeled part of an idea, then so should Antifa, even if they aren't connected to the major group as a whole. So it's still anti. What they label as fascist, we label as everything they don't like. So
everything they don't like. Is that a dig on feelings? My feelings.
A little bit.
Feelings, bro. My feelings.
I don't agree that feelings aren't a good thing to use in a debate. Invoking emotion is a powerful thing, especially in politics.
Yes, invoking emotion, sure, but because I did that last night. We were talking. I did that on Primes on Monday. I was like, just my feelings. This one time, my
He's
feeling.
so dumb. I really liked going on there. I was on there like several times for months. I really enjoyed it. And then he just went complete retard when it came to Israel. Like, if anything, you can call me a lot of things. I'm kind of an asshole, or but like to say that I'm lazy and that I'm pretending like that I did all this work because I'm a liar. Like those two things, you can't back those up. I provided 200 citations on 18 pages for him. And like lazy and lying don't fit that. But there's a lot of things he could have went with. Like
now, I'll give you that you do a lot of damn research, man. Like I'll give you that 100%.
I think he was just taking an L and he had nowhere to go, and like his partner was like doing these 101 arguments that Gibbs was tearing apart, and I'm just ripping them in half. Like they just got completely throttled in the actual debate, and I think he went for the throat and tried to discredit me personally.
Yeah, but he the other night when I was on, I wondered why he was just like, so he was just so angry. It's Bill Tifa instead of Antifa.
Yeah, I'm part of Antifa. Definitely.
Loose collection of people. How are you, Mr. Bill?
Bill Tifa, come on now.
Yeah.
Okay. Doing pretty good.
All right, good. Glad to hear it.
How did you tell? How could you possibly tell?
It was simple deduction, I guess. I don't know.
No worries. But yeah, just to help explain what Tyler was saying there earlier. Yeah, Antifa's they're an idea, but the people that are involved in most cases, I would say, are the ones that back in the BLM days, the ones that stayed along and followed them down the streets as the black bloc people were breaking windows and doing the graffiti. Those are the people that stayed with them. Those would be the Antifa types. The protesters or whatever are the people that went home earlier. You don't really call those people Antifa. It's crazy leftists, that protest whatever they want to protest.
Sure.
But the ones that follow along and stand next to Antifa while they do stupid things, stand next to black bloc while they do stupid things, I would consider part of Antifa, that they're so deranged in their head. They're watching somebody do ridiculously stupid things and say, good job.
I think it's just so weird. And I tried to get Prime the other night to just talk about it. He wouldn't engage with it, but how can you tell me that this is just a loose organization? They're just protesters showing up for an just to protest. How can I engage with that honestly when there are literally pallets of bricks being delivered upon their path that nobody knew they were going to take because they're just people showing up for protest, right? Like how can I not immediately go to the conclusion that fuck, this was planned? Like pallets of bricks have been laid out and there's bottles of water along the way, and like it's literally like a fucking video game.
Yeah. Even at their tent encampment in Portland, before they kind of made it all messy and everything, it was organized. Like people were bringing large packs of 24 packs of water stacked up high from Walmart there. I'm like, mommies and daddies don't just go to the store and pick up that for their local terrorists.
Right.
Evidently some groups do, but
I have to go with it's by design. I agree with you. Texas Living Outdoors. Hey, if you want to jump up, man, just go to the Discord and grab the link, and you're welcome to jump up. So, but it was it's just I just don't get it.
Yeah.
That they try and let me rephrase. I don't get that the left is constantly trying to deny that this is an organization, that there are leaders in it and there are organizers that go out and make this shit happen. You know what? I'll just throw it out in the chat. This is just for Texas Living Outdoors. Everybody else has to go over to the thing, to the Discord.
So I don't know if it broke recently. It broke recently. I don't know if you guys heard this. The CIA actually came out and confirmed that there was a conversation after Joe Biden had gone to Ukraine and said, hey, we need to fire this guy, Shokin, because he's a corrupt, blah, 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 and flown back. a bunch of Ukrainian leaders were sitting around talking about how his trip over here was a disappointment. He's a giant hypocrite because he's obviously corrupt. His son's involved with Burisma and blah, blah, blah. And when that was taken out, the FBI was gathering that intel. They formed a report. The Biden administration reached out to the CIA and said, bury that report. The report disappeared. It was left on draft. They just found it a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
The CIA did that.
I find it really interesting that people just, and by people I mean leftists, just completely ignore Burisma and the and all of the nonsense that went along with it, right?
And the hypocrisy too. Remember when Ivanka was helping him the first term, and how much crap she got for trying to help people get jobs and everything, just because she's his daughter, gets crap for helping Americans find jobs, but because she's related and everything, it's bad. But because Biden's son is helping another country energy business that they don't really like, that's an okay thing. Interesting.
Well, it didn't actually. It was. I think it's been pretty successfully proven that all of Burisma, all of Hunter Biden's involvement with Burisma was simply a money exchange.
Yeah.
Like, why were they paying him so much money to sit on the board of a company that he knew nothing about and never attended any board meetings and never did anything? They can't even ever prove that he did. The only thing they can prove is that he cashed some checks and he made some phone calls. So make that make sense. Somebody help me out with that. I can't.
I can make it make sense, but you're not going to like it. During the investigation, there were 2 IRS whistleblowers that came out and did a public hearing, and then they brought on experts after the next public hearing for the impeachment inquiry. And during this time, a woman named Leslie Wolf, the assistant DA out of Delaware, who was a Democrat elected representative or appointee in office, was stonewalling the IRS investigation in ways that no other investigation, none of these investigators, whistleblowers had ever seen. She wasn't allowing them to go into Hunter Biden's personal accounts. She wouldn't let them raid Hunter Biden's house and all these other things she would not let them do. There was a text message from WhatsApp where he said he was sitting next to his dad. They wouldn't even let them check the GPS data of Joe Biden because he had declared that he was running for president. This is a year and a half before the election. Because the DOJ has a policy 6 months before the election, you're not allowed to open an investigation. She took that, added an extra year to it, and used that to stonewall the investigation. So we just flat out don't know because of investigation interference.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I hope they cancel that rule. DOJ can't do anything 6 months before an election. As far as
they canceled that rule for Trump.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Am I on?
Yep, you're on.
Oh,
we got you.
Sorry.
We just ramble.
Okay, well, I was chiming in. You guys are talking about the bricks being left out and all that kind of stuff, and it's by design. They're
sure.
I feel like they're just trying to get a reaction out of the right, and they just keep the reaction is what they're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, and then I think that's our point exactly. Is like the left keeps saying and they keep claiming that. No, this is not an organization. This is just protesters showing up at an unscheduled or a scheduled event. You know, this isn't. They don't have meetings, and yet they have meetings, and they have an organization. You guys probably don't remember this, but Steven Crowder had people go undercover in the grassroots Antifa, and they always had like the one organizer. Who would come in and like talk to them and say, this is what we're going to do. And all of that kind of. And Crowder really,
well, they did that undercover sting that one time. And the kid was talking about having like a gun in his car or something like that.
Yeah.
A knife on him.
And he had a knife on him and he had a gun in the car.
Yeah. You know, I was just on Rob Noah's show and I was telling him, you know, I easily could have been sucked up into all this stuff when I was younger. I was a pretty bad kid, I guess you can say. And had social media been around the way it is and stuff like that, I wasn't political, but so many of these kids, I think are just looking for an excuse to cause trouble and get away with it. You know, there's no consequences. None of these kids are really getting in trouble for any of this stuff. And, you know, I mean, if you're kind of a misunderstood, kind of a rebellious kid and you're like, hey, you guys want to come throw some bricks through some windows this weekend and not get in trouble, I think a lot of these kids are getting sucked in that way.
Yeah, I agree with you. And a lot of people, they're considered, everybody's calling me the bad guy. Everybody's calling me the bad guy, you know, being bullied or whatever. So they want to transfer that behavior from them onto somebody else. Okay, I'm the good guy. I'm going to go after the bad guy. The bad guy might be ICE. The bad guy might be conservatives and things like that. I need to go after them so that I don't feel like I'm the bad guy and I need to improve myself, but I need to find somebody else to sort of.
Yeah.
And like
I've actually pinned the link. So Abe or whoever wants to come up, if you guys want to come up, that's fine. This is like, you know, I normally do a panel on what we talked or what I talk about in my monologue. So feel free to come up. If you're over on Twitch, if you click that link, it will bring you to the YouTube side. So, you know, but you'll still be on.
I'm sorry if I came in and kind of derailed the conversation. I was just
no, it's fine.
Rob's show and then I chimed into yours.
No, it's all tied in. I mean,
okay.
I mean, obviously, when we go back to the Trump impeachment over the phone call with over Burisma, I think a lot of people forget about that. I think that they don't want to talk about it at all.
While you're here, can you tell Rob Noir his fucking chair is a coward and won't debate me?
Yeah, that chair.
I can tell him. I got a call with him later. So
yeah, his chair is a bitch.
Yeah, he's gonna be at my event, and you can tell him in person.
Yeah, we've been trying to find a topic we disagree on enough to debate for it, but we haven't found anything. He told me to hit him up for it, so we've been trying, but we kind of agree on
you just need to make something up. I've been trolling this fishing YouTuber for the last month or so, trying to get him to debate.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Randy to hit me up and say, hey, let's make something happen.
I watched another one of his videos yesterday, and he was talking about climate change, and he was like, it's man-made climate change, blah, 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 blah. Gets to the end of his video and talks about the meteor that hit the Yucatan and climate change was responsible for a bunch of mass die-off extinction events, and then proceeds to say that after there was that meteor strike and then other mass die-offs from climate change, and I'm like, wait, so if it's man-made climate change, what in the world caused the climate to change, you know, a million years ago or whatever the timeline was? He contradicts himself in every other sentence.
It's a weird deal. I've watched a lot of his stuff, and actually I like Jimmy a lot better when Jimmy was on that channel, or Johnny. Pardon me, Johnny. So it's what is it now? Fish the Moment, right?
Okay,
so yeah. And Randy was part of that, and then Randy kind of split off onto his own thing with his whatever his channel's called. I forget what it's called, but I watched Randy quite a bit on Fish the Moment, and he has some pretty good insights into fishing, but Johnny fishes offshore, and I think that they have a real like split between them, because Johnny 100% uses electronics. He chases down the big schools that are offshore and out deep. And I think Randy struggles to find fish out deep, like most people do, without electronics. And
that's really what I want to debate him on.
I know.
Is the forward-facing sonar stuff. I'm not pro for. I don't have it on my boat. It's not like a technology I'm into. But he's saying that that's had the worst impact on fishing. But I would disagree. I think social media has had a greater impact on all outdoor sports and sports in general. You know what I mean? People are learning all the stuff that took us, 30 years. You can go on YouTube and learn.
We can apply this to everything on social media right now. All right, so let's just and I'll go, like, I don't care if we're talking about golf, tennis.
Yeah.
antique car, like the price of vintage cars went up because there's a ton of channels out there restoring vintage cars. Literally, whatever your interest is, sewing, it could be like just, you know, arts and crafts, you know, whatever your interest is, there's a channel out there, or probably 10 channels or 20 or 100 channels that cater to that. And so whether it's fishing or hunting or whatever, it doesn't matter. The internet has absolutely made it easier to get into it, and made it easier to understand, and made it easier to have conversations, just like on politics, right? Like there were a lot of people, to be honest with you, I think that one of the reasons why the world is swinging so much further to the right and more conservative is because you can have conversations with people in real time.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with, you know, and I think the worst thing that happened to fishing, for example, is not forward-facing sonar. The worst thing is the fact that there are, when I go to the lake, it is getting better now, but when I, you know, post-COVID, during COVID and post-COVID, I would go to, all right, so pre-COVID, I go to the lake on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I get there at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, maybe. I'd be out on the water until 10:30, 11 o'clock, and I would see 2 other boats, maybe. And both of those were probably guides who were out, you know, pre-fishing or something like that. I don't care what day you go to lake now, you're going to see a bunch of fucking boats.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't care what day it is. There are people now that work remotely. There are people that have started doing gig economy, whatever. And a lot of people bought a bunch of fucking boats. And that honestly, when you have that much pressure on these bodies of water, it's insane.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Randy all the time is always bitching about there's too many tournaments, and then he has a channel where he's teaching people how to fish tournaments, and he's just a hypocrite, and that's really what drives me nuts. He's using technology and social media to promote and get more people involved in fishing and teach people how to fish, but he's only mad at one technology, and that's the forward-facing sonar. And
look, forward-facing sonar is expensive. Not everybody can have it. You know, I have it.
Do you like it?
I don't use it much.
Yeah.
I've started fishing deeper, so I do. All right. So here's my viewpoint on it. If you are a typical bass fisherman that hunt bass shallow, and you were good at finding fish shallow, forward-facing sonar only lets you find fish faster. Because when you pull up to an area and you're sitting in 10 feet of water or 20 feet of water looking into, you know, you're looking out onto a flat, you're pan around, you say, oh, there's bait fish there, or there's a school of bass there, I'm going to stay. Or you sweep it, you're like, there's no fish here, there's 3 fish here, fuck it, I'm going to go, you know, I'm going to go to the next point. Or, you know, maybe they're not on the flats today, maybe they're on main lake points, and so I'll go fish around I'll fish wood off of these main lake points, right? And that's how a typical bass fisherman would do that, right? That's how, but you can do it so much faster with forward-facing sonar.
Yeah.
Now, you can still do it without forward-facing sonar. You just simply put your side scan on and you idle up and down the bank. It just takes longer. It's the same shit. There's no fucking difference.
The thing, though, is I can kind of relate to Randy in the sense that technology is ruining his industry. My background is in off-road fabricating, like building race trucks that race down in Mexico and stuff.
Sure.
And
I know a guy that does that. I know a guy named Roy Tompkins that builds Baja trucks in California.
Oh, okay. And everything I did was by hand. I bent up all the tubes, you know, drew up paper templates to make all the shock towers, and everything was done by hand. Now some kid that is good with CAD can draw a $250,000 truck while he's sitting in his basement, send it over to Laser. Laser will cut and bend every part. Then he hires some dude at $20 an hour to burn it together for him. And like the whole experience of knowing how to build the truck is lost. And my industry is completely saturated with high quality builders, where before there wasn't that many because everyone had to do everything by hand, and it's a lot to learn. You know, it's hard to get good at.
It's still hard to get good at. Give me 1 second. The link is pinned if you guys want to jump up. We're kind of just having an open discussion. And
we can get back on politics if you want.
No, it's fine. I don't mind. I've talked politics for 2 hours already. So that is fine. Look, so I was in racing, and I'm going to tell you that professionals will always be professionals, and people will always go to professionals. The idea that as you're saying, some kid, Tyler, for example, could do some research on how to build a truck and CAD out all the parts and come up with something true, but it may not work.
Yeah.
The angles may not be right. And this is what really pisses off a lot of people who used to do things. And I'm part of the reason why this exists, right? Because in road racing, which is what I did, I was all about technology. I was all about making my stuff faster and better, and just the knowledge is more important. That makes the knowledge more important than the technology. I don't care how you end up with a truck sitting in front of you or a car sitting in front of you. It doesn't matter, because you still have to know how to do it. You have to understand what the numbers mean. You have to understand all of it. And I used to there used to be a guy in my area in Colorado, and he hand built cars. His Bones or something like that was his name. He went by Bones or something. I don't know. And he did everything by hand. He did all paper templates, and we still did that too. But mostly what I would do is I could measure a car. And this is before we had scanners or anything. And I'd send it to the CNC bender, and it would come back perfectly bent.
Yeah.
No wasted tubing, no nothing.
And that's the thing too now. Like if you pay into SEMA, you can call Chevy and be like, hey, I need the front suspension off of a 2025 Chevy Silverado, and they'll send you the original CAD files for the truck, so you can draw a whole suspension kit. Where before we would make mock up and cycle it a million times and steer it and have to do all the legwork. And now
there's a lot of time savings there, right? And so I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm part of the reason that exists. I adopted all that shit early. One of the and I'm talking, this is back in '98. We bought a Faro arm. I don't know if you know what that is.
Faro arm.
Yeah. And back then it was a $50,000 purchase.
Yeah, now you can get one for a couple grand.
Yeah, now they're like $3,000 or something.
Yeah.
It was a $50,000 purchase back in like 98, I think it was. But we could plot all the suspension pickups, the lengths, everything. We could basically just draw a part in CAD and then model it. And we could change roll centers, and we could do it all on the computer before we even touched a piece of metal. It was well worth the $50,000.
Yeah,
100%. So
I will. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I will agree with you though that just because you can draw the part doesn't mean it's going to work. I can't tell you one of my biggest headaches. It was dealing with engineers. They come and drop their truck off to me, and they're like, hey, I drew all of these parts, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, just because it all worked in the computer doesn't mean it's going to work in Mexico. I could tell you right now that this is going to break, that's going to break. And they're like, just do it how I want. Engineers are pretty hard-headed. They're like, all right, man, but I don't want to hear it when it breaks, because I'm telling you right now, it's not going to work. I know it looks good on the computer, but it's not going to work in Mexico.
Well, I went way back. It was probably like, probably like 2000. I was doing a Porsche. It was a 914.6 conversion for a vintage racer, and so I built this beautiful sheet metal throttle cable bracket. It's beautiful, and one of the other fabricators was like, "That's not going to fucking work." He's like, "You don't." He's like, "You need to look at that again, because that's not going to fucking work." And I'm like, "What do you?" I was young. In my brain, I was like, "You don't know anything, old man." You know, like shut the.
Yeah.
I was a youngster, and sure enough, we put it on the car. Like the third time it full throttle, it bent. I kept that piece of metal until I retired.
Well, that's kind of Randy's deal too, because I was the same way when I first got into fabricating. One of the last shops I had worked for, they'd been in business like 20 years by the time I got there, and I was like, "You guys are behind the times. You guys are stuck in '92. Like, we need to start doing all this new stuff." And I was like that new guard coming in, and like taking the industry to a different level. And that's what's going on with bass fishing. Is I get that it's not the same thing that it used. Huh?
Every industry, literally all of it.
It advances. You know, look at football. If you go back, 50, 60 years, the equipment they're wearing and the game they're playing is way different than what they're doing now. Baseball, like every sport, every industry evolves and advances, and that's what's going on with the whole bass fishing industry and forward-facing sonar, and the fish are getting smart to it already.
Well, what we can, I mean, I don't want to geek out too hard on that, but it's a real thing that the fish, that when you turn, especially when you turn it up really high, the fish can feel it. They know that they're being pinged, right? It's like a submarine.
I left my front graph on the other day, like on a Friday, and I was working out in the garage, and I heard this ticking. I'm like, "What in the world is that?"
It was overheating.
I realized my front graph had been on for like 3 days, and it was a really loud, audible tick.
Yeah.
From the transducer. But hey, I got to get back to work. I'll call in another time when I have some more
Yeah,
time.
man. That sounds great. We'll talk
Good
to you
talk.
real soon. Wicked Wally says that we need another dating panel so he can stay up late and have his 9 milli with him. That's apparently what he calls his future whiff. And says, I nicknamed Millie that, and she said, I'm not a sidearm, I'm a service weapon. All right. What's up, JS Urban Adventures? I'm really surprised JS did not jump up. I know that he wanted to talk about DebateCon a little bit. So, JS, if you're still in here, man, jump up, man. We're going to talk. We can talk about it. So, and yeah. What are you doing, Tyler? You're finding your points for your debate tonight?
Yeah, I filled in all my citations while you guys were talking about trucks. Also, if I built a truck from the ground up, it would be the most superior truck ever built and make the Cybertruck look like a bitch.
Well, the Cybertruck is a bitch, so yeah, it's not hard. It's a low bar that you've set for yourself. Just point that out. But yeah, it's a look. All industries have to figure. You have to understand where things are going to go. Right. And I'm actually the cause of a lot of the problems. Tyler's online trying to master debate in public. That's weird, but sure. Wally, you have not made any of the debates recently. I don't even know if you can debate anymore. So just put that out there.
You don't have to be scared of me, Wally. I'm a judge. Don't worry.
He comes off the bench every once in a while. That's funny. That's really funny. So, what do you And so, had you heard about these kids doing these stupid ass TikTok challenges, like jumping from one subway car to the next and all that shit?
No, but that's been going on. I've been watching people do parkour off buildings and shit. It's fucking wild.
Well, this is a TikTok challenge, and it's interesting because I didn't realize there were how many stupid ass TikTok challenges there are. Way more than I thought. Okay, like really, like a lot. So it's that's not sorry. My computer slowed down. Said I have an internal error on my browser. Weird. Anyway, yes, it's interesting. I didn't realize there were so many stupid ass challenges where people die or get severely hurt. Wow, what's going on here? There we go. That's probably what's up. Parkour.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not caught up. I don't even use TikTok. I'm just
hardcore parkour. I say I didn't either. I didn't. I was like, I don't use. I've never been on TikTok at all.
I'm gonna start breaking down some of my cool debate moments into clips and putting them on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and shit, and hopefully get some attention that way.
Yeah. So apparently, and I only went back to 2015. Apparently, there's a cinnamon challenge. I didn't know about that, and it was on YouTube and Vine. I don't even remember Vine, and it was ingest large amounts of dry cinnamon without water. Was the challenge or whatever. And apparently people ended up in the ER, and there were at least 2 or 3 deaths from like ingesting cinnamon. Like,
yeah, I mean, that shit used to happen. I remember there was a radio show that had a woman drink water, and she overdrank and ended up dying for some reason.
Yeah. And then there was the fire challenge, which no shit, 2016, 2017, Facebook and Instagram set body parts or clothing on fire and filmed the reaction. Apparently a 13-year-old girl died doing that.
That's so fucking stupid. But yeah, no, there's always been stupid little challenges like that.
Obviously, the Tide Pod challenge. We all remember that one.
I was mostly sarcastic. I wanna guess that was like a parody of challenges, but no, that shit's existed. Like Opie and Anthony got taken off of air for their sex challenge. Like, what public place could you have sex in and get away with it? And some people went to a church and got found, and they ended up getting taken off of air as a result. So, like, shit like that's existed for shock value since I was a kid. Howard Stern used to do shit like that too.
2019 to current, there's what's called the Blackout Challenge. TikTok and YouTube. Choke self to faint for euphoric high, hyperventilate, or use ligatures. 30 plus deaths doing this challenge. 30 plus. That's nuts. Skullbreaker challenge in 2020 was to 2 people trip a third to cause a head first fall. Those are your friends, right? NyQuil chicken challenge, cooked chicken in cough syrup, which results in poisoning, many deaths. Deodorant challenge as 2021, TikTok. Hey, Pixels is back. What's up, Pixels?
You're just exploiting Darwinism.
It is Darwinism, but it's like spray aerosol deodorant on skin for 30 plus seconds. Severe blisters, and apparently somebody did it to like a really young kid, and it fucked them up. That was terrible. Salt and ice challenge.
I've seen the cell phone in the microwave challenge like maybe 5 times in my lifetime.
There's Pixels. The one chip challenge, apparently somebody died from that.
Yeah, I remember hearing something about that. The like insanely spicy one.
Yeah. And then there's the chroming, which was a TikTok challenge. Inhale toxic fumes from household products. One confirmed teen girl death. Right. That one got Tyler right there. Like, what the fuck? What's wrong with this, people?
Well, I jumped on because earlier this year there was some kid got shot doing the kick the door ding dong ditch version thing, right?
Right. The ding dong ditch in Texas. The kid was 11 years old, out at 11 o'clock at night or later, and they weren't just like bringing the doorbell and running; they were like beating on this guy's door, like, kicking it, beating it, and then they ran off. And the guy, who's I'm assuming in Texas, drunk at 11 o'clock at night, came out and shot him.
Yep. And there was another one where it's more in the ghetto-y areas where they're actually kicking the door open and they're spraying the inside with a pellet gun or something like that, and then they run off trying to pretend like they're doing home invasion type things. And what drives me nuts is the parents of today's generation. We were talking about this last night a little bit, is this infantilization of people, right? Yeah. It goes beyond just adults. It also goes to teenagers. Sure. Last year, I had some 14-year-old, 15-year-old kid at 10:30 at night approach my house in a hoodie and ding door ditch my house at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I was in Las Vegas. Had I actually been in my house and had pulled the camera up, I probably would have taken a shot at this guy through the front door, because it was a relatively large. I had enough time that I was like, what the heck is going on? And then he leans out and he knocks on the door real hard and he takes off running, and I can see his face, and I'm like, that's one of the kids from the neighborhood. So I put it on the Facebook thing, because nobody talks to their neighbors anymore, so I don't know whose kid it is. And I put it on the Facebook and I'm like, hey, which of you does this teenager belong to? You need to explain to him that this is not appropriate behavior, one, for his age, and two, for this time of night. This could get him hurt. And they all freaked out on me that I was threatening to harm this child. And it's like, no, you idiots. You need to teach them that there is behavior that he's doing late at night in a hoodie as a teenager isn't the same as an 8 to 10-year-old kid doing ding door ditch, door ding ditch, whatever. I don't even remember what it is. 8 to 10 years old, ding dong ditch at 6 o'clock in the evening to the neighbor that your family gets along with. That's not. It's not the same, but they were trying to act like it is. And I'm like, no, this is a teenager, guys. Like, had I been at home, I probably would have hurt your child because he looks like an adult. He's a teenager.
Well, and that's actually, even if it doesn't, why is your kid out
at almost 11 o'clock at night in the middle of a suburb neighborhood?
My oldest son is 15, and if he's not, he is supposed to be showered and in bed by 10 o'clock. If he was out at 11 o'clock at night roaming the streets, I would whoop his ass. He wouldn't have to worry about somebody else hurting him, because I would whoop his ass.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to happen, is like, just somebody be like, you know what? That's mine. I'll take care of it. But no, there was no accountability. It was just straight up. Everybody was attacking me. And it's like, I didn't threaten to hurt him. I was just saying, this is not a good idea.
So are you familiar with the Nextdoor
yes
app or whatever?
Yeah, like the Ring doorbell neighborhood app, like those kind of apps, like where you can get alerts on what's going on in your specific area.
Yeah.
Or is it more like the neighbors themselves have like their own social media kind of thing?
$5 comes in from Wicked Wally. Pixels ran up on a door once. I heard the neighbor saying they got ding dong glitched. It's funny because pixelation looks like a glitch. I got the humor. I understood the humor. So it's Nextdoor is cancer. Right? It's just online cancer. It gives the Karens and a bunch of dumbasses a place to talk where they're surrounded by other dumbasses. So I'm scrolling through my emails the other day, deleting emails. I do it every day or two because I'll have like 200 or 300 emails to get rid of. And I see this one from next door about Nashville is becoming such a sewer or something like that. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. Maybe is there a problem with the sanitation system? Let us investigate. No, it's not a problem with the septic system. It's this guy goes downtown on Broadway. Apparently, he parks illegally and gets his car towed and gets a $70 ticket. And he's mad because there are drunk people hanging off of the bar car things, and there's loud people partying downtown. And he's mad about that because his car got towed. And I'm like, so I, feeling like that he's missed the point, I'm like, what are you complaining about? Your car got towed. Who cares about drunk people? I mean, they didn't get your car towed. The people being drunk had nothing to do with your car getting towed. People partying did not have anything to do with your car getting towed. None of this has anything to do with the other. And he responded back, obviously you haven't been downtown lately. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I'm like, I don't need to go downtown. And when I do, I pay for parking like everyone else. Like, my car doesn't get towed, right? Like I don't get a $70 ticket. It was like the most, and I'm like, are you entitled much? I'm like, take a little personal fucking responsibility, you know? But literally there was an entire line of, and he literally told me, you're the only person that is disagreeing with me. So obviously you're wrong. And I'm like, no, obviously there's a bunch of dumbasses here because you parked illegally or you wouldn't have gotten a ticket. He was mad because they have the carriages, the carriage rides around town where you can, they have horse and donkey that pull the carts and carriages. And I'm like, what does that got to do with you getting a ticket, you dumbass? Like, what is wrong with you? I don't know. This is what's wrong with fucking society right here. I mean, like, why are you pissed? Like, this seems like such a normal thing to not get pissed over. Oh shit, I got a parking ticket because it's 1 hour parking and I was gone 3 hours. Oh my gosh. Right? Like, I don't know. What is wrong with people today? They're just
entitlement and a lack of shame is probably the two largest drivers, and I think the lack of shame drives the entitlement aspect.
I seriously think that people just haven't. I mean, look, I'm probably going to get kicked off of YouTube for a short period of time for saying this, but I honestly think it's because their parents didn't beat their kids enough, to be honest. I'm just going to put that out there. Some kids just need a good ass whooping, Fortunately, my kid really hasn't yet, but he lives in fear of the day when it comes to it.
Yeah, so like when I was a kid, you guys were talking about it yesterday. My dad was a drill sergeant. And so when he got out of the military, the way that he raised children was the way that the military turned him into a man, right? Because he was like, that worked. It pissed me off as a kid throughout my entire life. I didn't do anything and I got to be punished because my brother didn't do what he was supposed to do or did something else, or, my brother would get mad because I would do something. And he would do these things where he'd make you do these, like physical push-ups and these more physical discipline things, because once you get to above a certain age, spanking doesn't work, but you do have to have some sort of physical discipline and punishment for most kids up to a lot longer than a lot of people think. And I feel like there's a lot of adults that forget just how big of a pain in the ass they were at 12 to 14 years old.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, like my son is 15, and my oldest son, and he's a good kid. There were periods of time when he was 7 and 8 where he acted out and threw fits and stuff like that, and he had to get a little bit of corporal punishment. I'm be honest about that, but I've never really had to like absolutely just beat his ass. But
that's where everybody goes to. I was on a panel on TikTok the other night with a couple girls that they don't have any children, but they were insistent you never have to put your hands on somebody in order to correct behavior. And it's like,
you don't use never had. No, you don't have to use your hands. You use a belt. or a
yeah. I mean, about that works too.
I mean, let's just be honest here. Like,
Use a stick,
you're using your
quick,
hands.
make them go to get a
you're putting in
switch.
way too much work.
But it's like no, there are some cases and situations where you do have to correct that behavior in a certain way, and that's the only way that some people will respond and to get the attention.
Well, there's a reason physical correction has been used throughout history.
Yep.
Right. Like you can't point to a society where kids didn't get corporal punishment of some kind until now. Right.
And the last couple generations have probably not been the most fantastic representation. And if you were to ask me,
you know, I don't know. I'm old, right? So I'm in my 50s. So I remember my mom and dad making me go cut my own damn switch. It was like the worst thing. Because if you cut one,
my grandma was telling me about how she made us do that when I was little. I don't remember it, but she made us go get one out off a tree in Wyoming, and I was like, "Oh, thanks, Grandma."
Cut it right off the bush, and then you'd bring it in, and if it was too small and it broke the first time, you had to go get another one and start over.
That's what my dad said about his grandma, about my great grandma, is that if he didn't go get her the right one, he was in more trouble because she would go get one that would not break.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then my grandma actually confirmed, yeah, she did that same thing when we were little, when we were 4 or 5 years old. You know, just it doesn't take much either. Like, you just a little swipe. You don't have to leave any marks on anybody or anything. It's the psychological thing of like, you're in trouble now. Like, go get, like, there was times my dad maybe go get his belt because he had a particular belt, and by the time I went and got it and brought it to him, he wouldn't actually use it. It was the, hey, you did something wrong. Now I'm going to make you think about it while you go get the punishment thing. Like, there's lots of ways to do it.
Look, yeah, there's definitely, you don't always have to do it. Certainly you have to set the expectation, but you don't always have to do it. So Joseph says that he doesn't think you have to use hands. Like, for instance, I would never hit my dog. She knows when she's done wrong. I don't have to do anything. I mean, you can think that, and maybe your dog, you know, dogs are very intuitive to your facial expressions and even the scent that you put off. So maybe that's true. I don't know. But here's the thing, and I really hate it when people do this. Your dog is not a fucking human, right? I hate, and I hate very few things. I hate the term fur baby.
Oh.
The minute people start using fur baby, I know they're not rational human fucking beings, because that's a dog or it's a cat. It's an animal, right? Animals don't have soul. You know, all dogs don't go to heaven.
At lunch. I was at lunch last week, and I have a husky, and we're out sitting outside of the table. And this woman walks up, and she's mid-50s, heavy set. Based on what she said next, I'm going to guess that she's probably single and has been single her entire life. She goes, "Oh my gosh, can I pet your dog? I have a grand puppy pit bull at home that my daughter, or that my niece has or something." And I'm like, "Oh no, like, you just called that dog your grand puppy?" Like,
right.
Do you have a husband still? Like, where is your mind at? Like, like instantly I was just like I suddenly looked at her like she may have been mentally ill, and I don't know why, but it's because you're right, that they are just animals. It's not a person, and to refer to it as your grand puppy, it's really weird.
Yeah. It's a weird cope for either not having kids or trying to treat an animal the same as your kids, right?
Yes,
it's just cope, and I don't like that. It actually elicits a revulsion in me that I just can't really explain. And people say, well, you don't understand because, you obviously don't love animals. And I'm like, I've had to put my dog down before, and it was like one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. If you haven't done that, you don't get to talk about it, right? Like, you just don't come at me with that. But with kids, like my son can, all I have to do is, here's the thing. He got one butt busting, not really hard, right? But and he's 4, right? I got a 4-year-old, almost 5. He got 1. And now all I have to do is say, I'm going to count to 3 and you're going to get a butt busting. And I'll go 1 and behavior corrected, right? Because he's associated, hey, this very unpleasant thing goes along with dad not liking this behavior. And so I need to correct that.
Yep.
And so I don't think you need to actually, beat kids. I mean, I don't like the idea of beating kids, right? I mean, that goes too far, but certainly punishment, there's a reason for punishment.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to happen long before they're adults.
Yes.
Like the problem is that when you're talking about a 13, 14, 15-year-old young man or young woman, it's too fucking late. Right? It's very hard to correct that behavior.
At that point, you have to try to instill behavior or instill consequences that society might on them, which is where things like grounding and these types of punishments, where you try to create like a jail or a removal of rights or things like that. You try to attempt to instill that, but if it's to the point where you still have to try to get physical with that child at 14, 15 years old in order to try to control them, it's far too gone at that point.
Or if you've never done it and what you're having to do is
suddenly get physical, because they are physical. I can see that.
Yeah, or they just don't care, right? Like it just doesn't. You can't punish them enough because they don't care. You say, well, I'm going to ground you. That's fine. I got my phone. Whatever. Well, I'm going to take your phone away. Yeah, whatever. I'll just go play guitar in my room. There's no punishment that you can have, right? Because instilling discipline in a child starts when they're little. And we've infantilized people to the point where we're trying to teach lessons that kids should learn when they're 3 and 4 years old. We're trying to teach them those lessons at 15, 16, 17 years old and wondering why when they turn 18, they act like a bunch of fucking idiots and have no morality and have no direction in life, don't understand anything in life. If you were wondering, look, you got one right there. There's a child right there.
Yep, this is my 2-year-old. He apparently wants to go outside.
But he's not standing there screaming at you to go outside, right?
Nope, because we've taught him that he just has to ask us for things, and that has taken a lot of effort.
Sometimes you're going to say no.
Yeah, yep, and sometimes there is, times where we have to. Again, you don't beat on him, but you might have to swat him on the hand. You might have to swat him on the bare of his leg or something, because they're in an emotional state, and you're like, hey, buddy, like, reset. Okay, deep breath. Okay, what do you want? Oh, I want to do this. Okay, let's go do that. And he's done very well. He's learned. But my wife has taken child development classes, all that kind of stuff. I'm a very spoiled dad. I don't have to do a lot. What?
I'm on the other side of that. I'm the one that my wife doesn't really do anything on the discipline side. I do all of this stuff on the discipline side. What's up, Uncle Guns? Good to see you out there. Good to see you. Yeah, I don't. My wife my wife does when your dad gets home. you're in trouble then, pal. That's what my wife does. And she's right, because that's exactly what happens if my kids are being assholes, then when I get home, it's all bad, right? It's all bad. But my son doesn't do that. Like I know it sounds trite, but I don't. Generically, we don't have to be bad guys too much, right? So, I mean, we would be if we had to be, but. He's playing with a microphone. Does he sing or dance?
Microphone. He plays the guitar a little bit because I play the guitar. He likes to try to sing along with some rooster from one of his PBS shows. He walks around and closes his eyes and does the blues. It's pretty funny. You say hello?
It is pretty funny.
You don't have to touch your mouth to it.
Monster.
Monster where?
Come on, Daddy. Out. Come on, Daddy.
Yeah. Well, I think this is my time to drop off the panel.
You're cue to leave, right? That's okay.
He's gonna force me to go somewhere, but thank you for having me up.
Yeah,
I will
absolutely.
be trying to make myself more known, and I'll be popping in from here and there and just kind of chat.
Yeah, sounds
great. Good talking with you again.
Absolutely. Good to see you again, Pixels. Go have fun. Be a good dad. All right. Look at that. Look at that. We had a little guy on. What about it? Uncle Guns says, correct. Parents want to be the child's friend more than being the parent, then get shocked. They work past retirement because they let their child and grandchildren move back in to drain resources. Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you look, and I know that I know that I'm probably on the I'm on the unpopular side currently in that I do believe that while I do not believe in beating children, I don't believe in abusing children. I do believe that we do not properly discipline children. And sometimes a good firm swat on the backside as a youngster corrects an action, and it instills the idea that there are consequences for actions that I think a lot of people miss. And they shouldn't, but they do. And you know, I get it. You know, there's some people are going to be angry at me for saying that. They're going to be mad, and they're going to say that I'm wrong, and I could be, but I don't. But you know, look, I look at kids today where their parents cater to them 24/7, and then when the kid is when the kid's a teenager and rebellious and doesn't come home at night, there's nothing they can do. When the kid becomes 18 and they're within a year, they're having incidents with law enforcement, the parents are like, where did we go wrong? When the kid's in his 20s with if it's a dude, with a couple of baby mamas out there, because he has no self-control, has no willingness to even learn discipline, dropped out of college, or maybe he's on his 5th year of college or whatever. When that happens, parents go, where did we go wrong? What did we do? What could we have done better? And if you tell somebody that, hey, you know what, you probably should have swatted that kid on his backside when he was talking back to you, when he was 4, when he was 3, when he was 8, maybe you should have done that. Maybe that would have changed that kid's entire life. Now, again, not talking about abuse, folks. Not talking about abuse. Yeah, swatting is like hitting Control-Alt-Delete buttons to reset the program. I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong at all. But it is an unpopular opinion these days. And maybe I'm just old and old-fashioned. Maybe all these youngsters know better than me, but their kids aren't growing up. their kids are growing up to have blue hair, right? Their kids are growing up, looking at being a bartender as a actual like age, as a occupation, right? Rather than a gap filling job to a career. Unless they're talking about professional bartending, there's room to move. Uncle Guns comes back with parents give and give without forcing the child to earn anything. Yes, you are correct. My kid earns everything he gets. Of course, the child becomes a screw up in society, because how do you chase that kind of drug? That is fucking awesome. Admiral Gibbs over on the other side says, I had pink hair once and came out to Barbie Girl for a fight song for an MMA fight. That's pretty interesting. Got you a nice submission victory. All right. I see you out there, Gibbsy. I see you. It's sounds kind of light in the loafers. I do agree with you, Uncle Guns. I do believe that you are correct about that. 4D chess. All right. I could actually see Admiral Gibbs doing that. I could 100% see Admiral Gibbs going out to just mind fuck somebody with pink hair, coming out, doing a walkout song of I'm a Barbie Girl. I could 100% see that. I believe it. No lies detected. No lie detected. So, all right. Does anybody else want to come up and chat? We also used to put shellac on our nails because it made them harder and you could cut their face near the eyes. Damn, son. Damn. That's kind of gross, but also kind of badass, to be honest. Kind of badass. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna end a little bit early. I'm gonna send everybody over to the Powdered Dusty. I'm probably gonna jump up on stage over there for a minute or two, and then I gotta run. I'm gonna go hit some golf balls today. It's been a great show. Really had a lot of fun. Really appreciate all the guys over on Twitch that came out to help me, move ever closer to that affiliate. And in the meantime, you guys be cool, man. Everybody be cool. Have a great time. It's been been a good show. We'll have more of it. I'll be back a little later tonight because I'm moderating a debate over on Admiral Gibbs's channel. Or not moderating, I'm judging a debate on Gibbs's channel. It's going to be a lot of fun. You guys are going to enjoy it. And until then, be cool. Go see